If you need to say anything, ask a question, go ahead and pop up and say so. We're going to use a strap today, and we'll probably be on the knees a little bit. You can always modify and sit, but if you have something that is able to be there underneath your hips, it could be quite useful. I was talking with somebody recently about this idea of like, it's kind of silly when, like, especially as women folk, we might start to talk about like, oh, our bodies when we were 16 or 18, and in some ways kind of like a longing or like, oh, I wish I still had that, but like we were not even fully formed in our brains, much less our bodies at that point. So it's kind of like a weird social construct that we've developed. And then I was thinking just like of how wonderful it is that we have this capacity to continue to grow and to adapt. So like thinking of like that age, like my friend's daughter, she's about 20, and she is consistently coming to these points where she's like really strong and having these really good ideas and values, but like that whole frontal lobe development thing is not all the way there yet. So sometimes she just, it's, you know what I'm talking about. You can kind of get that, get the gist of that. And then when we have this capacity to that and grow, we have this capacity to change, and that might sometimes mean that, you know, like we aren't the size that we were when we were younger. We don't have things in exactly the same alignment or the same mobility level that we did. And to exist outside of this moment in this body is to not be connected to this present moment. It's a disconnect. I'm losing a word. It's not being present. It's not being here. And so part of this is to not say like, oh, well, my shoulders aren't as mobile as another person's practice or as they were, you know, 10 years ago or wherever it is that we can consider, when more often that space we're not appreciating this moment, which can, we all know connection and this moment is pretty much the most important thing that we can begin to focus on and to be able to have that mindfulness practice. We're going to do a lot of like shoulder movement and such, and we'll do some deep diaphragmatic breath to start off with. We did some like alternating lung or alternating rib cage breathing recently, and instead of like really moving into either space, just see if you can really feel the movement of your rib cage with your breath. So feel free to take your hands onto your ribs and just take a few breaths in as you feel the ribs expand into your hands and into your fingertips, and then letting things soften and come back in together. So taking slow breaths, but full breaths. In a moment of gratitude and appreciation for being able to breathe easily these days again. Just feeling this change in your body as you bring the air in and out. When you feel like you've got a good amount of value out of having this contact of your hands on your ribs, you can go ahead and let your hands come down into your lap, and then just keep breathing that way. See if you can bring that same quality into your breath. Maybe taking a moment to reflect and have gratitude for the ways that we have grown as people, the experiences and changes we have been fortunate to encounter and that have developed as more as people. Ways in which we can be grateful for the passing of time. And take a big breath in through your nose. Big exhale through your mouth. Again, like that. For 3 ohms. Starting to blink your eyes open, and we're going to come onto our hands and knees, and you're going to go take a nap. Thank you. So you can bring anything you need to give yourself a little bit more cushion underneath your knees. You are going to go hang up here. Okay. And start to work through a few cat and cow. Drop your belly down, look up and breathe in and round through your spine. If side to side movements feel better to you right now, you're welcome to do that. Of course, you could be on your fingertips. Let's get a little bit more of that deep rib cage changing breath going as you warm up your spine. Take about 2 more rounds. Then level out your spine. Go ahead and take all of that arching out. You're just going to take your hands and walk them forward, letting your tailbone tilt up and melting your heart down. If you can rest your forehead on the mat, great. If you want to grab something and place them underneath your forehead, you can also do that, or just try to let your neck be relaxed. But get a little bit more active on the outsides of the shoulders. And can you push the armpits out towards your hands? Still let this heart melt downwards towards the mat. Take about 2 more breaths. Letting out your exhale. And then lift your head up, walk your hands back in. And you're going to take your right leg out to the right and try to let the outside of your foot rest down. And then you might walk your hands a little bit further forward. If this is really intense to you, you stop where it's intense. If you're able to drop your heart down a little bit more, you probably won't get all the way down towards that heart melting space. It's possible, but it's not necessary. See if you can push from the outsides of the shoulders into your hands more, so you still have that outer arm toning. 1 more exhale. And start to bring your hands back in underneath your shoulders and switch legs. So you'll take your left leg out to the side. Mine's a little forward because I've got a bookshelf there. You'll start to slowly let your tailbone tilt up. Maybe bringing your hands a bit further forward and then trying to push into your hands from the outsides of your armpits. A little strong on the outer arm, on the outsides of the shoulders. Take a breath in. The breath out. Bring your hands back in underneath your shoulders. Draw the left leg in. And this time you're going to take your right foot up to the outside of your hand. And then here with the leg a little bit closer in, you can walk your fingertips out probably a bit more than when the leg was off to the side. And as long as it feels okay in your body, you can go ahead and soften into this one a little bit more. You don't have to worry about pressing into the outsides of the shoulders unless that's serving you in your body today. Really see if you can try to let your heart and your head hang down with as much softness as you can encourage. One more breath in and out. And start to bring your hands back. And you're going to bring the foot in, and your hands up onto your front thigh. And then leave your left hand on your right knee, take your right hand to your shoulder and offer this collarbone the opportunity to open up as you come into a bit of a twist. And if that's going well, you might take your arm and open it out. Really think of that collarbone expanding out towards your hand. Take a breath in and a breath out. Start to face towards the front of your space again. Start to work your right leg back, and then taking your left foot forward outside of your hands. So you've got a little bit wider space. Maybe the foot's just off of your mat. And now let your hands walk forward as much as they are interested in doing, as much as your body is feeling okay about, and then softening as much as you are able to. Sometimes a bit of a slow roll, encouraging the body to soften here, encouraging the neck and the shoulders to relax. Give yourself the time to unwind. One more breath in. One more breath out. Start to walk the hands back in. You're going to bring the foot in so you're not quite as wide as you come up into this lunge. You want to try not to have your hips back up above your knees. See if you can bring your hips in front of that knee just so that we get a little bit more open space in the front of this hip. And then leaving the right hand at the knee, take your left hand to your left shoulder and start opening that collarbone up. And if you're finding balance to be difficult, try pushing more into your front foot. Try looking at something that's not moving so you have a little bit more of a stable focal point. And if you like, you can extend this arm. Trying to extend the arm from the place where that collarbone is reaching out to your fingertips. So you're very open in the front of the shoulder. Take another breath in. Stay here as you breathe out. And release that twist. Come on down. I'm going to start to shift the legs back. Walk your hands out one more time into that puppy dog pose. So you're leaving your tailbone up, pushing into your hands from the outsides of your shoulders. So you're really active around the upper back. One more breath in. Soften something as you breathe out. And then we're going to come forward. Actually, you're going to come back into a seat. So you can go ahead and slide yourself around. You might sit up on that pillow or whatever you've been cushioned with. And take your legs in front of you and just take your hands and rest them on your knees. So no pressure downwards. Just think about trying to move the skin around your kneecaps a little bit. So it's a really gentle massage, just kind of stimulating some blood flow back into that area. And that starts to feel pretty good, pretty easy. You're going to take your hands back behind you. Bend into those knees. Try to leave your fingertips facing forward and your elbows drawing back. You're going to push into your hands. Push your heart up into the front of your rib cage. Let those collarbones open up. You might look up gently, just a little bit, to kind of open the front of the throat. And then let the front of the throat get softer as you breathe, and perhaps there's more room to open up through this chest space. More breath in and breath out. And then relax that heart space and shoulders. And then bring your feet closer together, your knees out wide. You might shift a little bit on your seat or make a manual adjustment just to have a little bit more room back there. And I'll take a little bit of a cat and cow, holding onto the feet or the ankles, maybe if your feet are a lot further in front of you. Moving your heart forward, looking upwards. And exhale, rounding the spine backwards. Inhale, heart forward, shoulders back. Exhale, rounding back. Take about 3 more on your own breath. Letting the pelvis rock a little bit. Next time you breathe in, lifting yourself up. You're going to go ahead and close those legs back in together. Leave the soles of the feet down. Take your hands back behind you. Fingertips face forward, elbows face back. You can keep your hips on the ground and just use the pressure of your arms to open the chest and find this strength with your hips down on the floor. Or you can bump it up a little bit more in intensity by lifting those hips up, and you might have bent elbows. See if you can feel your heart floating up, your throat softening, your feet pressing down, and take one more inhale. And then you'll take your hips down, hands, shoot your fingers out. And then we'll come down to laying on the ground, laying on the belly. You can take your pillow off to the side. I'm gonna come into Sphinx pose to start off with. You might wanna have your strap handy. We will possibly have that be a benefit in just a moment. You can spread your fingertips out, open those collarbones. And then keeping even pressure in both arms, both shoulders open. Turn your nose down towards your right shoulder so you are twisting your neck and looking down. Stay there as you breathe in. Stay there as you breathe out. And gently start to lift your head up and look over towards your other shoulder, your left shoulder. Make sure the right shoulder didn't follow. You're turning the head and looking downwards. Coming back to the breath. Breathing in. Breathing out. And starting to take your head back up. We're going to widen the elbows. Come on down. Rest your head in a way that's comfortable to you. Maybe wiggle out through the hips just to be sure that there's lots of space around the lower back. And then you're going to take your elbows back up underneath your shoulders. We're going to come back to Sphinx pose, and we're going to do a little bit of quad stretching. So if you take your left hand over towards your right elbow and bend into your right leg, what you might do is reach back and easily grab onto your foot, or relatively easily, and you decide you don't want the strap. It's fine if you are thinking you don't want the strap. That's okay. What you might do is grab the strap. Sometimes like a little lassoing is kind of necessary. Might take you a bit, might not be super graceful. It doesn't have to be any of that. What we're going to do first is push the foot back so that it really opens up that shoulder. And if that's kind of turning you over towards the right side too much, see if you can turn your chest more forward. One more inhale to push that foot back. And then you're going to start pulling the foot towards your bum. So if you have the hand on the foot, if you're able to get the fingertips turned down towards your ankle, that's going to be real intense on the shoulder. If you've got a lot of space and you want to find that, that's available to you. Or you can keep the hand on the inside edge and pull that foot in. Or of course, if you've got the strap, you just pull the strap in. Yeah. One more breath. And then you're going to loosen your grip on the strap of your foot. Slowly take that leg out. And then you're going to lay yourself down. Go ahead and bring the elbows out. And really rock those hips side to side. So a little bit more than just a little wiggle. Really do want to kind of roll from one end to one end, loosening up that lower back space. And then we'll come over to the other side. I'm giving kind of a lot of time to be in this space just because sometimes it takes a little bit of organizing with the strap. If you need to let go of the shape at any point, you can of course do that. Take your right hand to your left elbow and then you bend into the left leg. You might use the strap. You might not use the strap. Try to get to a place where your arm is mostly straight so as you push that foot back, it's really opening up the front of your collarbone, yeah? Where you've got your handbag, you're going to push the foot back. So you're kicking that foot into the hand to open up the front of the shoulder. And then you're instead going to bend the leg a little bit more, bringing the foot towards your tush. That might be with the strap. You might turn your hand so the fingertips are down by your ankle. One more breath. Slowly release the foot so the knee doesn't snap. Just extend the leg back. Your strap's still around. We'll just go ahead and slide that off to your side. Come down onto your belly. Wiggle your hips around a little bit. And take one more back bend. Reach your hands back. If you want to grab that strap and hold on to the strap, you can, or take the hands behind your back. We'll take 2 breaths in Shalabhasana or Locust Pose. So inhale to lift up. Exhale, reach those knuckles back to your toes. One more inhale, feel a little bit space coming in. Exhale, softening down. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Wiggle your elbows back. Lift your belly button up away from the floor. Lift your hips up away from the floor. Push yourself up into this little plank pose. Lifting up off of the ground. Curl your toes, spread your fingertips out, and press back into downward facing dog using the outsides of the shoulders. We're going to come to the back of the mat. You can go there now, bringing your feet back towards your hands. Or you can stay here in downward dog for another breath in. Feel your hips lifting up as you breathe in. Feel your heels and your head hanging down as you breathe out. And then start walking your feet, your hands back to your feet. Your feet can come up to your hands. It's not super important where we happen to end up. And then widen your feet out a little bit more. Bend into your knees. Bring your elbows to the insides of your knees. We're doing construction in my building. One of the reasons I'm out of here. You're going to press your elbows down and your hips back to feel your heart lifting up. It's a big one. One more breath in. One more breath out. You're going to bring your hands up onto your thighs. Go ahead and stand up. And then take your strap, find it, come back up into your space. We're going to do some shoulder flossing. So you're going to start with your hands wider than your shoulders. And just know that you can slide your hands out. I'm going to start off a little bit shorter than what you might need. We just kind of feeling out exactly how loose the shoulders are today. I'm going to inhale and lift the strap up. And then exhale and probably slide the hands out. And you can absolutely bend the elbows as you roll those hands back behind you. And then inhale, lift it up. And exhale, lower it down. I often shorten a little bit in between, just as things get a little bit more loose. Inhale, lift it up. Exhale, roll it back. Try not to create a big arc in the spine, yeah? So you want to stay a little bit more lifted. You can think of lifting the front of your hips to keep that low belly lifted. Going nice and slow, so there's just a slow, gentle flossing, and it doesn't become too chaotic or too sudden of movements to jerk anything around. Finish up this round that you're on. And then when you take the hands on down, wiggle things out a little bit. And then you might use the strap. It's kind of holding in kind of close, so it might feel a little bit better in your shoulders to kind of do this. Or you can take the hands, interlace your fingers, and bring them over towards the right side of your waist. Feel the fronts of the hips lifting up so you're not sway backed. And then look down towards your knuckles, towards your fingers. Releasing your left collarbone and shoulder and elbow down. Breathing in. Breathing out. Gently start to look upwards. You're just going to shift the hands over towards the other side. You can also palms together. If interlacing the fingers makes that too tense, you could just do palms together. And then looking down towards your fingers as you feel the fronts of your hips lift up. Big breath in. Big breath out. Start to look up. Go ahead and release your hands. We're going to grab the strap again and try to use the strap in tree pose. So what we're going to do is have the arms up and you're going to pull the strap apart. If you need to be close to something, you can always put one hand on a wall and you can still feel the pulling apart of your strap. So whichever leg you choose, make sure that your foot isn't up at your knee. You might just bring it down to your calf instead. We're going to still lift up the fronts of the hips, lengthening that knee out, and then see about pulling the strap apart. And just noticing how that changes the feeling around your heart space. Are you still lifting upwards to finding length in your tree, length in your spine? One more breath in. And then soften your shoulders and your grip. Go ahead and take that foot down. And then finding the other side. So take your foot up, and rather than letting the hips drop in, we're going to open and lift the front of the hips to take the belly up as well. Taking the arms up, pulling the strap apart. Trying to keep the breath steady. One more breath in, and breath out. And soften the shoulders, strap the strap down, drop your foot. Wiggle out a little bit. And then you can take the strap and set it off to your side. I'm going to come into Warrior One. Take Warrior One. I'm going to mirror you, so you can take Warrior One on your right side. These back toes up, trying to bring both hips to face mostly forward, but start with your hands in your back pockets. You can really feel how much, if you just kind of rest your heart a little bit more forward, you can feel that tension coming out of your lower back. Just trying not to like put undue pressure there, just finding that subtle shift. And your heart lifting upwards, so taking the rib cage out of those back pockets. Trying to soften the muscles in the sides of your neck and find your breath. And inhale, lift those arms all the way up, getting a little bit longer through the spine. Exhale, hands to your heart. And then come through, hands to the heart to open out to Warrior Two. And then you'll take your left hand and place it in your high-waisted jeans back pocket. And lift your heart up towards your right fingertips. Make sure your right thigh bone is reaching towards your left foot. So things might be starting to get a little bit heated in that front thigh. You can take a break if that would benefit you. If you can breathe through it, try to stick with it. Inhale, feel that heart lifting up more to your fingertips. And then exhale, reach it forward. Bring your elbow down onto your thigh. And then you're going to push into this hand. Feel the collarbone open up. Feel your ears reaching away from your tailbone and your tailbone reaching down towards your back foot. You might take your arm up and open. You're going to push into your right elbow to feel both collarbones opening. Breathing in, breathing out. Lift your belly up towards your spine. Come all the way back up to Warrior Two. Exhale, relax your shoulders. Straighten the leg, relax your arms down. We're going to shift to Warrior One on the other side. So make sure you have that space in between your legs. There's always an adjustment in the stance between the warrior poses and between side to side. Once you have that front leg bent, you're going to take your hands into your back pockets. Wrap your left hip towards your back foot. You can feel your rib cage lifting up and away from your hips. The collarbones open with the skin in front of your heart stretch out. And then on your next inhale, lift the arms up, feeling your spine getting taller and longer. Exhale, hands come through the heart, and then opening upwards into warrior two. And there's that adjustment in the back leg. Take a moment to check out that front knee. Make sure it points in the same direction as your toes. Taking your right hand to your right back pocket, and then lifting your heart up towards those fingertips, finding peaceful warrior. Always that up and out and open space. Breathing in. And exhale, reach out over the leg, making sure you're wrapping that thigh in, taking your elbow onto the knee, and then you're gonna push the hand into that back pocket to open the collarbone, push your elbow down into the thigh to open the other collarbone, ears away from tail, tail down towards the back foot, perhaps the arm lifts. You're reaching the arm bones away from your chest, finding a lot of space there. Make sure your collarbone's opening, that you don't just have the hand back on its own. It's the whole arm. One more exhale. Draw the belly in, so you can lift yourself all the way back up to warrior two. Soften something as you breathe out. And then straighten your legs. Turn all 10 toes to face forward. Come down into a fold. And have very bent knees. And let your back kind of unravel here, letting some of the tension just slowly dissipate, or like steam releasing off of your back. One more breath in, and a breath out. Leave your knees bent, bring your hands to your hips, lift your belly, lift yourself all the way back up. And then bring your legs in together. So we are going to, in chair pose, take eagle legs. So getting a little bit more heat back in the pelvis, hopefully still keeping our balance steady by leaving the feet towards each other. It doesn't have to be a very deep chair. Pick one arm to wrap on top of the other, and you'll either wrap up your feathers or give yourself a hug. Just want to reach your hips back and your elbows forward, whether that's kind of pulling the shoulders forward as the belly and the hips go back, or reaching your wings forward. Breathing in, breathing out, unwinding, standing up for a moment, wind it up the other way, and then sit back into eagle pose. So you feel your toes kind of almost disengaging from the ground because you've got so much weight back towards your heels. Hips down, elbows forward. One more breath in. One more breath out. Unwind. Stand it up. One more standing pose. We're going to take a goddess squat. So widening your knees and your toes. If you're feeling a little bit tired at this point, don't worry about how low you get. Just try to keep those legs turned out and the booty drop down. If you can get a little bit lower, if that feels good to you, you're always welcome to challenge it a little bit more. Really feel those thighs opening up, and then the heart pushing out towards those fingertips. And you feel a lot of strength and power in this upper body. Just as much strength and power in the upper body as there is going on in the lower body. Pushing into your pinky toe edges of your feet. Breathe in. Last breath out. Straighten legs. Relax your arms down. Bring the feet back towards each other. Stand up by the front of your mat space, or at one end of your mat space. And as you inhale, take the arms up. Stay standing. Exhale. Bring your hands down to your heart. Do this 2 more times. Just notice the way that your shoulders and your spine feel. Just observing where the body's at right now. We're going to lift the arms up again. And then this time, as you exhale, fold it all the way down. Bring your hands down, step your feet back. After downward dog, we're going to go to child's pose. If you want to go down there now, you can. If you're interested in staying for just a moment in down dog, just spread the fingertips out, feel the outsides of the shoulders pressing into the hands, give your heels and your head an opportunity to relax. Notice how this one might be different than an earlier one or one a week ago. This pose, that is. Finish your exhale. Start to lower your knees down. You might feel better with knees wider and toes together in child's pose, or you might feel better with knees together in your, maybe sometimes a good idea to check which one seems to work. And then when you get down, go ahead and wiggle your hips and your head around a little bit. If this is more like puppy dog pose on you, it's great. If you'd rather lay flat on your belly, if maybe having this much pressure on the knees at this point isn't right, you're welcome to take those modifications. Just gonna let things sort of loosen out, like a slow wiggle. And start to come back to that slow, deep breath. Taking lots of air in and enjoying the release as well. You're going to start walking the hands back in. I'm going to take the legs out in front of us. If you want to grab a pillow or whatever you were sitting on before, you can sit flat as you were. That's fine too. I'm going to take your right leg in so your left leg is out in front of you. And then feel this thigh bone kind of coming into the hips so that you have that little tilt of the hips forward. You're going to walk your left hand down and take your right arm over, softening the inside of your shoulder, softening the side of your neck, relaxing your right side pants down. Breathe in, breathe out, and then lift on up. I'm going to turn towards this leg. Probably bend into the knee so you can really hinge at the hip. If you want to keep the leg straight, you can. I'm actually liking bending into it to really get into kind of the belly of the hamstring in there. Deep inhale and deep exhale. Start to walk your hands back up. I'm going to switch sides. So take your left leg or your right leg forward, your left leg is in, let the thigh bone come back so there's that tilting of the hips forward. Slide your right hand down and let your left arm come open over. So it's just slightly in front of your body. You've got all that space on the outside of your shoulder blade. Relax your left side pants down. Soften the inside of your shoulder. One more breath in. One more breath out. And then lifting it back up. Turning towards your leg. And quite possibly putting a good bend into it so you can really hinge into a fold right at the pelvis. So you're really getting into the base of that hamstring. You can play around a little bit with how much bend is right for you. Big breath in. Big breath out. And then walk your hands back. Bring the soles of the feet together. We were doing a little bit of movement before. This time, see if you can find a long spine and let that spine go forward. It doesn't have to be like super stick straight, but can you keep a lot of length here, not curving in, just letting the heart lead you forward. Take 2 more deep breaths. and start to come on up. We're gonna come onto our knees one last time into camel pose. If camel pose is not working, if being on your knees isn't working, you can lay on your back and take bridge pose instead. Very much a similar sort of function in the shape. We're even getting our glute and under leg lifted by curling the back toes under and leading with those hips coming forward. Take your hands into your back pockets, letting the thighs, the hips go forward, the belly lifts up, the heart lifts up, the collarbones open. Really feel this lift from the back body to open up the front body. One more breath in. And exhale, soften out of it. Just take this as a little bit of a break. If it feels really good to you to take your hands down to your heels and do camel pose, you can do that. I'll demo again with hands at hips. I'll go in once more, seeing if we've opened up any space. Hips and heart going forward, rib cage lifting up and out of those back pockets, collarbones opening, throat softening. One more breath in. And then exhale, soften, back to neutral. We're gonna come down onto our backs. Get down there. Set things off to the side. If you want to keep that pillow around in place underneath your legs or anything in your asana, you can do that. I'm going to take the knees up and then cross your ankles and reach outside the legs. So hold on to your shins or your knees or your ankles, your feet, anything on that lower leg that makes sense to you. Finding some space and release in the lower back. We're just switching the cross of your ankles, taking your time to adjust into that slight change to the other side. Big exhale. Uncross your legs. You're going to roll your legs all the way over towards the right side. Get all the way over on your right side and then take the left arm open first to try to open up your chest. And if your back doesn't feel so great about this, just go ahead and move those thighs a little bit further away from you. And focus on the left collarbone opening up and kind of taking the rest of your body into this twist. Softening your belly every time you breathe out. Big exhale. You're going to gather yourself together, roll all the way over onto your left side. And let that right arm open up. So it's that right side of your ribs opening up that brings the rest of you into a twist, softening your belly, making small adjustments to your legs to find about the right place, taking that agency to take care of yourself. One more exhale in this shape. And then coming onto your back, go ahead and bring your knees up towards your armpits, lift your feet up, grab your ankles or your feet, taking happy baby. Take your time allowing the back to relax, allowing the hips to be heavy, allowing any sort of movement that feels good and intuitive in your body right now. Release your feet down. Walk them out a little bit wider than your hips. Flex your toes up towards your shins. Bring your arms either open to a T or grabbing elbows behind you. So either way that opens the chest and the shoulders in a way that feels good to you. You're going to keep the toes lifted. Take your knees over towards the right side. Feel your left knee reaching away from you and your belly falling back. Reach your elbows away from your shoulders, wherever that happens to take you. Breathe in. Breathe out. Lift the legs back up. Take them over towards the other side. Toes engaged upwards to the shins to keep the ankles strong. Reach the right knee away. Reach the elbows away. Soften the belly towards the spine. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Lean your legs back up. Let your knees fall against each other. Bring your arms down a little bit more so you have a little bit more softness in front of the shoulders. Let's take a moment to check in. If there's any other shape that would feel really good on your body or any other movements, you're welcome to experiment with those and play around a little bit. And then when you're ready, finding your Shavasana, whether it's staying there or extending your legs, maybe you take a seated meditation or put your legs up the wall or on a chair. Starting to settle into this very well-deserved rest. start to come back to your breath, back into your body. And giving it some appreciation for carrying you through this life, all of the things that you can do and all of the things that you are grateful for about this physical form that we are currently occupying. And start to roll yourself over to one side, pausing for a moment of gratitude for your practice, being able to share this time together. And when you're ready, coming up to your own version of a comfortable seat, take your time getting there. Whatever your seat looks like is fine. If it allows you, try to bring your hands up to your heart and allow your heart to open and lift. We'll seal our practice, releasing an Om together. Deep inhale. Bowing down to the love and light within each of our hearts. Namaste. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. Who's that?
This is Jezebel.
Who is it?
This is Jezebel.
Oh, so cute.
Isn't a little life mate?
Oh, cutie.
Is she a rescue dog too?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Oh, you got a new one?
Where did you find her?
I got her through the Oregon Dog Rescue.
Oh,
Oh, she's a
sweet.
cutie.
Oh, she likes you. I tried so long to get one. All I could find were the